Testing. here it is. This is new.
In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of 1975, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Who's going to call the roll?
Carol's
Carol?
here.
All right.
Jay,
Present.
Shane is excused.
Who is?
Shane,
Jane,
Shane is
okay.
excused. George A.,
here.
Carol York is here. The other Carol.
Here.
Barb,
Here.
Joel, is he,
Did
Absent.
Joel contact you at all? This is
Absent.
the second meeting in a row that he's missed.
I saw him and he said he was coming, but obviously not. Jim,
Well,
Yes.
Tracy,
Present.
Frank,
Present.
Ron,
Present.
thank you.
You all have the minutes of the March 11th meeting. Take a moment or two, I'll entertain a motion to pass with any changes. Changes or corrections to be made.
I just would like to correct for the record of about 1117 Ohio, when we addressed Mrs. King's concerns, I did bring up that we had, prior to this situation, made a motion at that previous meeting that any street tree had to be voted on by all commissioners. I don't see that that's noted in that, but that
Well, we'll
did come.
talk about it during the discussion.
No, but that's, you said, do we have any corrections to the minutes?
Oh,
That's
okay.
what I would suggest.
Because I think Mrs. King is here, right? Pardon?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. We'll talk about that. Anybody have any corrections, any changes to the minutes of the March 11th meeting? I'll entertain a motion to approve as presented.
Other than what I just said, I don't have any other changes.
As amended.
What do we have? Who?
George amended the minutes.
Okay. Did you vote to approve?
As they're amended, yes, I'll make a motion to approve them.
Amended how? Oh, this, of the whole, for removal of a street tree, that the whole commission has to approve, at least
Well,
four.
the majority of the, yeah,
Right,
of the
4
commission
out
has
of
to
the
approve.
7.
And that's been established for several years.
But then we
so-
don't have to put it as an amendment.
No, but I just wanted to make sure that it was noted
We'll
that it
talk
was
about
brought
that
up
when
again.
When Judy comes up.
Right, but I just wanted to say that that was brought up again at last month's meeting.
Okay. Do
That's
I
all.
have a motion to approve?
As amended.
I can make the motion as amended, yes. I'll make that motion.
What's the second?
I'll second.
All right, okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Yes, sir.
I was just absent, so I just thought I'd abstain for those minutes.
The what?
I was absent for that meeting, so I was abstaining.
Tracy.
The record showed that there was one abstention.
Two.
Two.
Two
Tracy.
abstentions.
I was.
All right.
All right. We have some members of the public here. Let's talk about 1117 Ohio Avenue first. And press the button. There you go.
Yes.
You're Judy King, correct?
I am Judy King, yes, from 1117 Ohio Avenue, concerned about the sweet gumball tree that is lifting the sidewalk tremendously. We've replaced the sidewalk already 3 times. We've had the house since 2020. It has to get done again. It is a real threat to the public. And I understand everybody was supposed to come look at it to tell me their opinion. Did that happen?
The what?
Yes?
I did. We
Yes,
don't look-
yeah,
I know you did, Carol. I know
yeah,
you were
I
there.
did.
Okay.
Carol did, George
Okay.
did.
And
Ron
the other
did,
George did.
and the
And I looked at it also.
Did you look at it? Okay. All right, and you can see how badly, not only is it affecting my sidewalk, now it's affecting my neighbor's sidewalk. It's affecting both sidewalks. And we had replaced the neighbor's sidewalk once. It's expensive to keep replacing this, and this tree isn't, the roots are not going to stop on this tree. And I'm so afraid when they do our street next year, okay? They've done the upper part of Ohio, they're doing the bottom part next year. It's going to create so many problems. It's affecting the street, the curb, it's on the other side of our side of the street. After the pavement, it's going into there, it's going into our sewer and water lines, and it's unsafe. I actually even pulled up your regulations. Section C in your regulations say any tree with roots that are aggressive or difficult, I'm thinking, yes, that they're interfering with plumbing or other problems, they should be removed. That's in your guidelines. I also pulled up your list of trees that are recommended, and you still have the sweet gumball tree on here. Most cities all over the United States have taken it off because at one time, I guess there was abundance when the oak trees all died a long time ago, and they put the sweet gumball trees in place, but they're not good for city streets trees. If they're on an open field, they're fine because their root system can go, but it's not working. I don't mind replacing the sidewalk again, but I can't keep replacing it every 5 years. That's not fair to us. It's a big expense.
Well, we haven't reached a point yet where we're getting permission to plant city trees on private property. We're limited in the spaces we have to plant the trees.
Well, I
you
didn't think
know.
that was private property.
Lawn and public parks.
Isn't that I'm not allowed to touch that tree out there. That's the
The
tree.
city's responsible, the city owns that tree.
Right.
The city's responsible.
And we're not
for
to
maintenance
trim it.
and removal.
Right, okay.
Now, as trees, well, you know this, as trees mature, they take up more space and they damage sidewalks and the roots extend into the street.
Right.
The damage, they said you was done 3 times. I don't remember doing 3 requests for that particular,
Oh, I've never requested it. We just went ahead and had it done.
okay, you just.
We just
did you
had
ever
it
come
done.
up- Did you ever participate in a 50/50 program?
The first time, I think we did the 50/50 program, because we had Carrot Top out when we were doing landscaping. When we bought the house, it needed to have a lot of work done. So we were doing a lot of landscaping, and we investigated with him along with a few other people. So we went with McGarity instead of Carrot
Is that
Top.
a yes or a no? Did you participate in the 50
I think one time.
one time? Well, this is maybe a chance to do it a second time.
Well, the other 2 times, his prices are so much more expensive. His 50/50 is as much as paying somebody outright to do it.
Well, the program right now, because the city manager is accumulating all these requests, it may be that it's not going to cost you 50%. It may be that it's not going to cost you anything. The city will let a contract out and repair all the sidewalks with 1, 2, or 3 contractors, however he wants to however he wants to do it. So I would suggest you put your request in with Connie to have the sidewalk repaired
All
under the,
right, I can do that, but that's still not
because
going
the
to,
tree is in perfect, I mean, it's big and it's getting bigger, but it's in perfect health. And we
oh,
just
it's not in
really-
perfect health. Did you see the growth all going up the
Well,
street? And
You
the
can say the same
gangling
thing for-
roots?
You can say the same things for leaves, pine cones, any type of seed pods that come off a tree. We probably, the only remedy for this is put plastic trees in.
No,
But
that's not true.
That's not gonna work.
No.
They tried that in Wildwood with the plastic palm trees.
Well, I don't want plastic trees.
yeah, it's
Listen,
rambunctious.
I'm a big member of the Garden Club. I was institutional in working with getting the water tower cleaned up, and we planted a tree down there at my insistence. So it's not like I don't like trees or I don't want trees, okay? But this is a public hazard to the people that are running. People run, they walk their dogs. It's
Well,
a tripping hazard, a very bad hazard.
restructuring of Ohio Avenue, which is nearly complete now, right?
Only the first 3 blocks. They're going to do the next 3 blocks next year. We're in the next section.
Well, when they take those, you play around, you mess around with tree roots, cut tree roots. The tree is going to fall toward the cut side. Okay, so the tree isn't going to fall, I doubt very much.
Can I speak here for Public Works side, please? So Mrs. Keene here saying that she's already replaced sidewalk 3 times. She's saying it's going into our water and sewer line, which is creating a health hazard now. She's asking for the city shade tree to actually take the tree down. I believe a bunch of you guys all went out and looked at the tree, correct? So at this point in time, it's starting to be a health hazard because it's impeding into our water line or sewer line. Now you're talking about reconstruction of the street next year, and the tree may fall now into possibly houses and cars next year. So if she wants the tree done now, why don't we take a vote and take that tree out? She's willing to plant another tree, a more suitable tree in that location than what's out there now. So I think that's probably maybe the best solution here.
Do you have documentation that the tree roots are going into the sewer line and water line?
Our landscaper, who was McGarity, yes, it's creeping in, and you can actually see the
Is
roots
it you
in
talking
my
about a
lawn.
sprinkler system or water lines? The sewer line I'm talking about.
The sewer lines are all, that you can see the roots all growing right into going right up.
But what I'm saying is certain places in the city, the water table, I know in my section of town, the water table is only, you go down 18 inches and you hit water. I had to have my sewer line replaced 4 years ago, not even 4 years ago. And they dug down, when they put a sewer line in, they don't put it 18 inches down. They put it down 3 to 4 feet under the ground. There were no tree roots whatsoever involved in that sewer line. So many cases when there's an issue with the sewer line, sometimes the roots have nothing to do with it. That's what I'm asking, if
But I
it's in the
think
sewer.
what's happened, this tree, the roots are just coming up to the surface. They're not down real low, down real deep the way they were before. Did you get a chance to look at it? To see?
Yeah.
You can see the roots. Even if you look on the other side of the sidewalk going onto our lawn, you can see the roots all going through there. It's not like they're not going there.
The roots coming up in the yard and the street, right?
All the trees in Cape May are like that.
Have you ever walked down Washington Street?
Oh, I'm
Or
constantly.
Perry Street?
Right.
Or North Street?
Well, and I just got done last year I was telling you how our church just got sued because somebody fell on something that was 1/4 of an inch up. So, yes, I understand that, but I'm responsible for this property, okay? I'm the one paying to have this fixed all the time. We take good care of our lawn, we take good care of the house. I don't think it's fair that I have to keep replacing sidewalks in order to make it safe for the public to walk.
I understand what you're saying about all of this, but this is Cape May.
It is,
All
and
of the,
I
just about,
agree.
all of the trees in Cape May on Washington Street and so forth have roots coming out. People have to replace their sidewalks again and again, but
And their sewer lines.
but they know when they move in and they take a sidewalk, they have a sidewalk in front of their house, they might encounter this problem if they've got a big tree with big tree roots. And if we say we're going to kill every tree or uproot every tree, that's in the city like that, like yours, we don't have a shade tree city anymore.
I agree with you. I also have, just 6 feet from that tree, I have another city tree, okay? And I'm not asking for that to come down. I'm not asking for this tree to come down because I don't like trees, or because, I'm asking because it's unsafe.
But all the sidewalks, there's many sidewalks in Cape May that are like that.
And do you feel that's great for the public?
Well, no,
That if it's
but-
a public hazard?
No, but people do repair their sidewalks, they take care of it.
But how many times am I to repair this?
I don't know. I mean, it's your property, I guess.
I mean,
Whatever
if
you-
somebody falls on it, is the city going to be responsible?
That could happen anywhere in the city,
So
with every one of
that's-
our trees.
You know, and all I'm trying to do is what's best for Cape May. And I don't think it's in Cape May's interest to have sidewalks that are raising up and down. I don't see how that's in anybody's best interest.
That's Cape May. We've got it all over the town.
I feel that people are more important than trees, okay? I think we need trees. I'm willing to put another, not that same kind of tree. If we feel we need another one there, I will do that.
Can I interject here for just a second? Because I did stop out and look at the tree.
Thank you.
One of the things that they're doing a lot in other cities, and we've tried to get people in Cape May to do it, but they've been reluctant, is to go out and come around with a semicircle
We've
to
talked.
get the
Arc
sidewalk,
into your yard some.
to get the sidewalk further away from the tree, so you don't have that problem.
We've talked about that when we had the sidewalk done last time. They didn't feel we had enough space. So I guess maybe if we bring the sidewalk over into our yard more, but I don't think there's enough space to do it any other way.
I think I looked at it and I thought that there was enough space
Okay,
to that. I've looked at several trees in the past month, but if I remember correctly, that was going to be my suggestion, that you just semicircle it around the tree, get it away from the trunk of the tree. It's the trunk of the tree that's actually lifting the sidewalk up.
right.
The flare is what's actually, so if you
Well,
move
and
that and
now
bring
it's
it in a
lifted.
semicircle around it, you'll alleviate that problem.
But if we come in so far, it's going to give me a very narrow sidewalk there, unless I move it around into our property more so, on the, the lawn.
That's generally what would have to happen. It would have to semicircle into your property a little bit.
And then if they do that, it's not going to happen again. I'm not going to have to replace it.
I'm not going to
again.
say that absolutely it's not going to happen again, but it should alleviate the problem.
Okay, you think so?
Ron, can the sidewalk be raised instead of cutting it out? in a
Yeah, you could
semicircle?
hump it up, a little bit up and over.
Before you make that statement, better check on ADA compliance. If we make any statements about raising anything like that, you got ADA compliance on that. You can't just raise the sidewalk up 2 inches. You have ADA compliance on that, so I would
Right. And
advise
not
not to say
only
anything on that.
But we already are getting, when it rains and gets really bad, we get water this deep on the sidewalk. Now, I'm not going to say it doesn't dissipate, it does, but because the other sidewalk's up so much, it all just runs down closer to our driveway side, so we have the whole sidewalk is wet constantly. And we go out, I sweep it because I don't want people getting hurt. So we sweep the water away as much as we can. And our front is not low. I mean, we get water in our backyard sometimes at the very back, but we don't have any, it's not low in the front.
Anybody else have any other comments on this?
I will make a comment that I agree with Ron, that we could try to to go one step first to see if he can do what he said he can do with the roots away from the sidewalk, and then do the sidewalk repair, and then see how that goes. That's my opinion.
I would just make one comment, Jay. A couple weeks ago, Paul and myself walked 2 blocks on Ohio, the 2 blocks that are under construction right now, and we identified trouble trees that might be a problem when they were doing the resurfacing and the curbing. And I would suggest that maybe in next year, when your block of Ohio is under construction, we can do the same thing and further identify if it's still a problem for the
And
construction.
I understand, and I think that's great, that's fine, but isn't it better to be proactive or no? Because I don't see how it's not going to be a problem.
You know, you have to realize, Mrs. King, that we're for the trees.
Well, and so
And
am
we're for
I.
Cape May.
So am I. I'm not for the
Well,
trees.
give the tree a chance.
Yeah, let it live
But,
out.
but,
Let it
hold on,
live.
hold on.
I
If-
think-
If I remember correctly, from the class I was just at from Rutgers, we maybe should look at getting a tree arborist in here, because if these roots are coming out of the ground more and more, there's a problem with that tree.
That's the character of the tree.
But that is true, but also, if the roots keep growing more and more out of that ground, there's also a possible health issue with that tree, as in Rutgers. I just literally just took a class on it 6 months ago.
Yeah,
So
Matt-
maybe we want to look at getting two arborists in here, to have two sides of an arborist, say, hey, look, there's something wrong with this tree here, and we need to take care of it now before it does fall or whatever.
Every tree in Cape May.
Would it hurt to get an arborist out there to look at it?
I mean, there's certain trees that have the surface roots like that. We don't plant silver maples anymore, but we're not cutting them down just because they have large roots. There's one on Broadway. The roots come out of the ground, without exaggeration, about 14 to 16 inches up. The sidewalk has been replaced. It's not a trip hazard. That tree's been standing for how long, I don't even know. And that, even when that house was being redone about 14 years ago, they had requested removing that tree because of that issue. All we did was have them put a new sidewalk in, and so far, there has not been another issue
But
with that
that's what-
sidewalk.
So my question is then is, how many times has that homeowner put sidewalk in that location? One time, correct?
I don't know. They haven't applied for anything else.
But Mrs. Keene here saying this is our third time getting ready to do it for sidewalk. So there has to be an issue why this roots keep coming up out of the ground. It's not getting enough going on the ground, whatnot. I think maybe you guys should look at getting an arborist in here before anything else, because
Well, and our own arborist, who does all our trees, because we get them trimmed in the back because we have old trees, Matt Notch has said it needs to come down. Now, I don't know how you value Matt, but I think he's a great arborist.
Well, what we do is refer to our certified tree expert, and that's who we typically get for that. We
Okay.
get Mickey Riggins in for that, but I don't see, I mean, there's certain trees that have prominent surface roots. That species is one of them. The other one I mentioned, and they're going to stay on the surface.
Well, there are 6 or 7 right in my little block, okay? None of the other ones have lifted the sidewalk the way this one is. It's not like,
Well,
they're-
we can-
and
we
there's
can have
another one on my neighbor's property that I take care of. It's not lifting the sidewalk. There's 2 across the street. They're not lifting the sidewalk. There's another one down the street. They're not doing to the sidewalk what this one's doing.
What kind of trees are they?
Are
They're
they all the same
thing. They're
kind?
the sweet gum.
Well, we
All
can
sweet
ha-
gum?
Yeah.
Pardon me? They are the same trees. They're sweet gums. There's a lot of them on our street. You know, yes, it's a pain in the neck to clean up all the little things that fall all the time, but that's not the issue. It's the safety issue here. People run at night. People are out running all the time. I am deathly afraid that somebody's going to get hurt.
Once again, though, that exists all over the city. I mean, I walk down Washington Street, that's a hazard waiting to happen, but I figured this is my town, we're for the trees, I'm going to put up with it.
Yes, and yes, if I fell, I would not sue. But how many people sue for every little thing? And that happened at our church.
But that's trees. I mean, they could sue you for an acorn falling on their head from a tree.
But this is, look at it, you can see the liability just looking at it.
Like I said, I mean, like Carol
Yeah.
said, we're for the trees. I can't see killing a tree, robbing it of its life because of these things that trees do. That's what they do. And we are a shade tree commission because we have a lot of trees in our city.
It's the one thing that does make
Cape May.
That's
And
one of the
yeah.
things that makes Cape May unique, is that we have the tree canopy. You to go to Avalon, you go to Stone Harbor, you go to Wildwood, you don't have that. And that's why we've been a tree city for so many years, because we try to preserve the trees every chance we can.
And I understand that.
43, there you go.
But
What do you think?
also taking good care of these trees. I think the trees need to be taken better care of that are on the street. They need to be trimmed more often. If we're not supposed to do this stuff, like I said, every 2 years, I have to trim. I have a black pine in the back, and I have an old holly tree in the back. I'm not going to take them down. They're gorgeous trees, but they're pains in the neck, but we work with it. And every 2 year, Matt comes and he trims them to keep them safe. That doesn't happen with these trees. They're cut all over. They look ugly. Not this particular one because it's not in the lines. But my neighbor across the street that has the sweet gum, what they didn't do to that tree when they came along and cut it for the lines, it's horrible.
Well, that's another issue we're talking about at this meeting, too. That has nothing to do with us. That's through the Atlantic City Electric
I
Company.
understand that, I understand. Listen, I'm going to abide by whatever you say, but I just feel that it's very unfair. And anybody walking on the street can see how unsafe that is. It's not, you walk on the street, you don't see the other sidewalks all raised up from the sweet gum trees.
I mean, I live on Lafayette, and we repaved, and we all got new sidewalks. And any of the trees that were impeding onto the sidewalk, they went around, the new sidewalk went around
To save the tree.
to save the trees.
And did that
But-
solve
but-
the problem?
Yeah, solve the problem.
But Judy, you say there's not enough room to arc the sidewalk into the yard?
Well, we can put it into the yard if that's what the city wants us to do. I think it would have to be, but I don't know that for sure.
There's
You
enough
thought there
room,
was enough
there is enough room there to do it, to semicircle it around the tree,
Okay.
which would get it another foot or two in. So you're only
I don't
looking at
have a
taking another
problem with
foot or
that,
two. What's
but
that?
I don't have a problem with that as long as it's going to work and it's not going to then still keep uprooting the sidewalk.
I think that would alleviate the problem. But I 100% guarantee it, no, but
Well, nobody
80,
can guarantee.
85%, that-
Nobody can
guarantee anything, so.
So then you think I should go to the city and ask the city, what were you telling me to get on the city's
Put in
list?
for a sidewalk repair.
All right. Well, now, are they going to do that before they do our street?
The what?
Before they replace, because they're going to be doing the whole road. Do they want to do that before that?
If you would like for me to
I mean,
answer.
next year the
Yes.
road's going to be done.
That's why we don't know. So yes, if you know.
Mr. Dietrich apologizes, he couldn't make it, but Justin Riggs, I'm the deputy city manager. So we are looking at a citywide initiative, as was discussed here, to replace sidewalks. This sidewalks probably would not be replaced before the mill and paving work. It
Middle,
would be
right?
work together
Okay.
on that project, on Ohio Avenue.
Okay. I don't know that I can wait a year.
I think they're suggesting is to give your information to
I will.
Ms. Anderson.
Okay.
And then Mr. Dietrich can certainly take a look at it, but I believe the commission, I don't want to speak for the commission, but it sounds like they're saying the tree has to stay, but look at other avenues.
Okay. Okay, I'll go by the city's recommendation.
Well, we can take a vote on it. I'll entertain a motion to remove the street tree in front of 1117 Ohio Avenue because of the conditions that Judy King described. You can agree with that, and we'll issue order to remove the tree, or disagree with it, and we will wait then until the street is done next year, and then take it under advisement again to see what we have to do. But I would suggest, in the meantime, you put your application in with Conchetta, our secretary, for a sidewalk repair. Okay. Do I have a second for the motion?
Are you making a motion to remove the tree or
Yes,
preserve
I
the
am.
tree?
You can
To
vote
remove
no
it?
if you want.
Do that one again, Jay.
Pardon?
What are you making?
I'm making a motion to remove the tree. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
To remove it?
To remove it?
Well, we can vote no.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, then put your application in for a sidewalk repair and we'll deal with it when the city lets its contract for sidewalk resurfacing done. As I said, right now, I don't think it's going to be a 50/50 program. I think the city is going to repair all the sidewalks at their own expense if they're tree root damaged.
Okay.
Now, sour gum balls, seed balls and stuff falling, that's a natural event.
Oh, it is, I know.
I can't do
Listen,
anything with
I
it.
pick them up daily. I know that that's a natural thing, and I'm not complaining about that part of it. I'm not saying it's not a pain, but again, and I pick them up because I don't want people falling on them. I'm out there constantly cleaning them up. So, where is Hanchetta? What office is she in? Okay. And I'll do this tomorrow? Is that what I should do? Okay. I can come tomorrow. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Ann Cleveland? Is there Ann Cleveland here? Dan?
Here we go.
State your name and address, Dan.
Daniel Uffelman, and I'm here about 717 Washington Street.
Okay, and you're appealing for a tree just to the left of your porch down the street here on Washington Street, right?
Exactly. I was here to ask you to reconsider if I'd be able to remove this tree and plant something else somewhere on the property in its place.
Well, this is where we normally defer to the district commissioner, and, but lately, we've been also trying to have either Jay or myself, as chairman and vice chairman, take a look at each tree that's put in for the removal. The commissioner is in favor of keeping the tree as it is. I would rather see that, this is just my opinion, the tree has some issues because of past pruning, and it has, to me, what appears to be some rot at the base. So I would not have an issue with removing that tree as long as there was another tree replaced. However, we have now gotten to a point where since we have two people looking at it with two different opinions, we're going to have to, at least I think, everybody's going to have to vote on this tree.
Look at it.
Okay, you've got in your package of goods, the application, and it's a tree just to the
It's
left.
a holly tree. It's
Holly
got a codominant trunk,
So it's a double trunk.
Right.
and at the base of the trunk, there's some issues. But, I mean, it is leafed out. It's just, there are some issues with the tree, in my opinion. But
With that type of a codominant trunk, you couldn't take just one trunk down.
oh, no, no,
That tree is in my district.
yes.
I looked at it.
George, what are the issues that you are concerned about?
Well, it's just been pruned improperly over the years. It was topped at some point, but there's also some rot at the juncture of the two
I also
trunks.
see that it's right next to the driveway going into the Sturdy Bank.
Yes.
No, that
No, that's
does,
not-
that has
That
no
doesn't
inter,
imply that it wouldn't
No.
be.
No, there's no
or anything like
interference.
that. Okay.
That's inside the fence.
that is not,
I understand what George is saying, but again, I'm a tree person. All these trees are like people to me. I say that bush is now leafing it out. The holly tree bush is now leafing out. And my opinion is it should be let alone, let it exist as long as it can. I mean, it's giving some beauty to your yard. I know you're not in favor of what it looks like, but I don't see cutting a tree down because it's not pretty. So I'm in favor of leaving it there and letting it live out its life. I don't think it's imposing on anything. That was my opinion, that's why I wrote what I did.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, I would be willing to plant another tree on the property that would,
Well, people come in, I think everybody we've seen in here who's at an appeal says, I like trees, I'm going to plant another one. Doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. And that, again, is destroying the beauty of the city. Yes, I'll take a tree down, and I will put another. One guy said he was going to put 12 in. I have yet to see that. I think we need code enforcement to go around somehow and see if these trees are replanted within a certain amount of time. And if they aren't, the person should be fined or something. There's something about that in the ordinance. But it doesn't happen. People don't plant the trees. So what do we do?
Well, that's going to have
And
to
I'm
be.
not saying you wouldn't. I'm
I
not
was going
saying,
to say, I appreciate that, but I'm not everybody.
right, I'm not saying you wouldn't. But there's so many people, yeah, you can take the tree down. Never another tree in this place. So it's making me get very discouraged.
Which I
as a
understand,
commissioner.
right.
I mean, I say take it down, or some of us say take it down.
Right,
And
everyone-
other people say, you come in here and you appeal it, and it never, and it comes down.
Yeah, everyone loves trees, but not the tree in front of my house.
In fact,
I don't love that anymore.
when I came here, I thought that there would be some regulatoriness on what you're saying, and that I would have to show you I planted another tree first. That was actually in
Well,
my
that's-
frame of mind coming here.
Well, that's the thing that we're going to have to discuss, too. We have to have follow-up with the district commissioner who, of those properties where the tree replacements are supposed to be given. And that would have to be something that's going to be another, follow-up thing, and probably followed with code enforcement, like we did down on Patterson,
But George, I think,
but-
excuse me, I think maybe rather than fall on all of us all the time to do that, I mean, we could give the addresses to code enforcement.
Right.
It's there or it's not there. And then you or fine them.
Patterson was the same thing.
Right.
Trees out of the
Yep.
perimeter, and we made sure we stayed on top of them until those trees were planted. He planted the wrong type of trees, we had those trees removed and the proper trees planted.
And that was excellent.
We are on it if we know about it.
That
Right.
was excellent.
No, but since the new ordinance, it's worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
And that was good, but there's so many that are not followed up, and we don't have the trees back. I mean, why are we here? Why are we a shade tree commission if we keep taking down all these trees and giving into appeals, and nothing ever gets planted in its place, and we don't let the trees at least try to live out their life? I mean, yeah, there could be some kind of illness, but it may not kill the tree.
Well,
Can I make a little help here? Obviously, we have the code enforcement who does a great job here in City of Cape May, but as a committee as well, in your district area, why can't you guys help out as well? Hey, this person hasn't planted a tree, and let the code enforcement know, because these guys here are so busy as well, too. I mean, if you guys are.
That's what I said. I think each district commissioner is going to have to follow up within their
100%,
district.
because like I said, he's
mean,
not
I
going to know
do.
everything, and, we think.
We're volunteers.
But we're
Yeah.
volunteers.
I mean, I follow up.
Past, I don't know,
Yeah,
it's a little different, but
I get,
the way it's set up now, I think the communication's there, we can stay on top of it. I talked to Connie emails me, we're in the building here.
Right.
So there's no reason why. As far as saving trees,
That's ours, yeah.
made here, and all I do is enforce.
right,
Right.
So that's good.
okay.
but I get your volunteers, but
Yeah.
same token of too, we also volunteer to look at trees that need to be taken care of, too, right? You're saying you're volunteer,
Yeah,
when a gentleman or a lady has a problem with the tree, we go out and look at the tree. So in 6 months, why can't we also help out code enforcement? Hey, it's my head here, 6 months or 3 months, hey, Dan, replant a tree, and report back. Right.
all he needs is a list. He only, really, Bill, I think, just needs a list, and he can go out and follow it up.
so what are we
I mean, we have a
discussing?
lot of, pardon me?
What are we, now we're in the,
Well, I have a question for you.
what are we discussing here?
Whether or
Do we allow approval to take the double-trunked holly tree down, which is reasonably healthy, although you discovered that there was some rot at the base?
Well,
And plant another tree of one type for another? Now, that really concern us what type of tree he puts in, as long as he replaces the tree.
Well, we would give
or not.
suggestions about, or from our tree list, we would
Yeah.
give those suggestions, but,
So-
so what do we want to do? How do we want to proceed with this? Do we want to have everybody take a
Have
look
everybody
at it?
Take a look at it, yeah.
Okay, I think we're going to have to start doing that with these removals.
All right, so we're going to keep this over to, sorry, Daniel, but we'll keep this over. to the
Don't be
next-
sorry. And
But everybody take a look,
And if-
everybody take a look at that tree,
Yeah.
717 Washington Street. As you pull in to the drive-through for the bank. It's just to your right, right just to the left of the front porch at 717. It used to be a
Antoinette's
Antoinette's
Yeah.
Bed and Breakfast.
Yeah, okay.
Still called Antoinette's?
No,
Or did you name it after yourself?
it's nameless. It's nameless.
Nameless. Okay.
Just like most of the homes in Cape May now.
Defer to next time.
I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Carol.
Say-
But Carol, I'm very local
Thank
in town. You know, he knows who I am. If I'm he's going to enforce that I plant another tree. I'd hope that you consider that. Thanks.
Thank
We'll
you.
all look at it now.
Thanks for coming in, Dan.
Thanks, thank you.
You on your microphone.
On this Ann Cleveland application denial, this is in your district.
Yes.
Ron, did you take a look? Do you have it
Close
down?
enough.
I don't know if you have a copy of it.
I have a copy of
You
it.
can't
I didn't
figure
look
out-
at that.
I can't by looking at this figure out what kind of tree that is.
Possibly a
It
mulberry.
looks like from the picture like it's a mulberry.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Oh,
The
this
tree
is
at
on,
Yeah, it looks like it's of an age that it's not throwing any mulberries anymore.
I got something.
Well, it's not the time of season to know whether it gives out mulberries or not.
New York.
Ask me that in August. and
But it
I'll-
looks,
Oh, this one I went.
despite the fact that it's a little mishappened,
It's beautiful.
and kind of a double trunk twisted by the wind, it looks like a reasonably healthy tree.
If I may, yeah, I was out there, had the permission from Dave Schultz, who was the architect. It was not in a direct line of the garage in question.
Right.
So that was an important factor. But when I saw the tree, I have a couple of those trees in my backyard, and
They are what?
mulberry.
Mulberries,
Mulberry.
okay.
And yes, there is a twisted root bark behind the tree, but I thought the tree was brilliant. And I think there was a lot of growth and arterial energy leading up to the top boughs of this tree. So my
It looks
first-
like there's plenty of space, a undisturbed root drip area around that tree.
Yes.
So it should be getting plenty of water.
Yes, yes, yeah, that's quite a receptor. Yes. Yeah, and mind you, I went in objectively as I told Mr. Schultz, and I also said that this committee does determinations by commission, and I said that's the best way to do it, and I actually advised the architect that I'm kind of a newbie to this commission, and but I'm coming in objectively, and I made my observational determination and took extra pictures with my jacket, and you see what you see there. And if you counter me, fantastic. But we do it by commission, and that's the way I'd like to continue to move forward.
Well, I should think we left the denial. I think in this particular case, we'll leave the denial stand.
Thank you.
Everybody in agreement with
Yep.
that?
Yes.
Yes. Agree.
And if Mrs. Cleveland wants to come in again next time to appeal this again, we'll do it over again. All right. Arbor Day, volunteers. Who's going to go and read?
Well, I called the school, no one's gotten back to me yet. I gave them my information, they said they would contact me about going in and reading the story like I did last year. And I think Carol said you might be interested in doing the same.
This is, it's going to
So
be on the,
they haven't
If
gotten
it
back to
doesn't
me.
have to be a certain day.
Yeah.
Can't do it till after April,
this is
I
going to be on
can't-
the
yeah.
28th, right?
or somewhere around there. I don't think they probably care, as long as you
Better
come
be
in and read.
somewhere around there. Anybody else? Hey, Ron, you can go in and read a book to the school. Okay, we have some other things, but Okay, so we're just going to have two or three people go in and read books on Arbor Day. All right. Tree list recommendations.
Excuse me, we have another member. Do you have something that you want? Well, would you come forward, please? And if you would just turn the thing on and state your name. Oh, that's okay.
Press the button, there you go.
I got it. My name's Diana Varna. I'm at 1302 Ohio Avenue. We were told that someone was going to come look at our tree. You
I
did?
did,
Okay,
yeah.
that's all I needed to know.
Your Fran? No.
I'm Diana. My
Fran's your
husband's
husband.
Fran. He's out of town, so I'm here. in
And I
his place.
called him several times, and for whatever
Oh,
reason...
what
there's-
is your name?
George.
George,
Yeah, and
okay.
there must be a block on his number or some kind of...
I know,
filter 'cause it doesn't go through.
been back and forth, back
Yeah.
and forth, back and forth.
So I will go and take another look at that, because when I went, everything was blocked. I couldn't even get, like, in front of the
So
thing.
when I talked to your husband, his concern was that the roots on the north side of the tree were cut.
They were.
And he was curious about what the impact that would have on the tree.
The front of the tree, the roots were completely cut, and on both sides, the roots were completely cut. So it's a concern.
When was that done? When did,
Oh, just about,
During-
it was like last month when they were redoing that section.
Doing
of Ohio.
construction,
Okay.
which they're still
Carol, what
doing
kind of tree
you're
is
construction.
not going
You know?
to, you're not going to,
I do not know.
probably not
I
going
have
to
no
see any
knowledge.
dieback for a year.
Yeah.
No,
Or
yeah.
so if the
But it
roots
didn't-
are severely cut,
I haven't
where it
seen
can't,
it
it
since it
can't pick
started
up
to
the groundwater,
But-
you will see some dieback on the tree. And it may be that that tree has been compromised, but you won't see
Okay.
that for a year, maybe two.
Okay. All right.
So keep a watch on that.
Will do.
And you're going to go take another look
Yeah, I'll
at it?
take a look at it, too.
And I had mentioned to your husband that if in fact cutting the roots was going to affect the tree, I was going to check with the commission to make sure that it wouldn't happen immediately. I think it's a process. If the life of the tree has been endangered by cutting the roots, it would take several years before you would know it was going to die.
It's a big tree.
Yeah, it is.
What
It's
kind
a
of- what kind
really
of tree?
big tree. A Bradford pear, I believe.
Oh,
A what?
Bradford pear.
They
It's
don't get real
beautiful.
big.
It's absolutely beautiful. It's bloomed now. Love the tree. I don't want to see the tree gone. It's just immensely big. I don't even know how to say it for our property. My only concern, my husband's only concern, is the tree across the street is a Bradford pear. And during these lovely wind weather situations that we have, their tree split,
It's split?
sorry, and fell on a car.
Was it a street tree?
It's on their property.
Oh, it's on the property.
It's on the property.
Now, is this one that you're talking about on the property, or is it a street tree?
It's a street tree. It's on the, right near the curb, right where they're doing.
It's between the sidewalk
I can make
and
a
the curb.
I
It's between the sidewalk and the curb.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a street tree.
I
Right.
can make a
That's a city
suggestion.
tree.
Right.
Jay, if I could make a suggestion, we could reduce the canopy back on that tree to take some of the wind sail effect, and also it entices the roots to start regrowing. So that can be done also. We've done it to several other Bradford pears.
yeah. Bradford pears, they
That
can be a beautiful tree, but we don't recommend using them anymore because they are prone to breaking like that. Their branch structure is such that in those windstorms,
It goes up, all the branches come off of one spot. And when the tree is 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, it looks beautiful, like I call it a lollipop tree. But after it gets a little bit 10, 12, 15 years old, the branches start splitting off.
Well, then they just came and cut them all. No, it's just, the way it looks is a shame, but,
your tree,
yeah,
so it was Atlantic City Electric cut them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
I'm
I'd
not
say
happy
like-
with the job that they did either, because one of the, I don't know whose truck it was. It was a truck, obviously. It was either a construction truck or Atlantic City when they were cutting the tree. Must have backed into the tree, and now all the bark's off one side of the trunk, so it's all exposed. So the poor tree has just been
Yeah.
compromised to a point where I'm parked in the driveway and my husband's parked in the driveway. There is no other place to park. If that tree falls, it's going on a car. And that's my only concern. I love the tree. It is absolutely beautiful. If you saw it right now, it's just like, oh my gosh, it's gorgeous.
Well, we can reduce the canopy and try to prevent any, that from happening.
Right.
and-
Ryan?
And that
Okay.
break.
I'll authorize you to, on that particular tree, to reduce the canopy back to compensate for the damage to some of the roots.
Got that?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we've got several other things we got to talk about. One is we're approved for Tree City USA. We're now 43 years. Frank, I'm going to ask you to have your men put this up on the, I got I think we only have 2 signs. One in
Bill?
coming into
Bill?
Westgate, Main, one coming in.
Coming back.
You have your boys put those stickers on the Tree City USA signs. I'd appreciate it. All right, street tree removal and trim, let's get some of this other stuff out of the way first. Let's talk about Atlantic City Electric pruning. We've had a lot of
Well,
complaints.
that's what I wanted to talk when Bill comes back in, because I wanted to ask him if he knows who exactly did
Okay.
the trimming, but we could talk about it. There's a letter in this packet today, I don't know if everybody has that, where the person, that's me, I'm the special one.
There he is.
Well, anyway, I called Atlantic City Electric because they had a different company doing the pruning. And I spoke to Joe Greibow, however you pronounce his name, twice. And I'm concerned with some of the cuts that they did on the trees. They are, and I gave the address of 1015 Washington Street. He swears it wasn't his people that did it, but a private contractor. I don't know of any other private contractor that would have.
I was out of town.
Yeah.
I didn't speak to her. She said the only issue they had is a branch fell, or sign was broke, and if they took care of that themselves, her and her husband. But she said she did not.
She did not get a private contractor.
She said there were what looked like dead branches, and one had fallen, but she denied having any kind of work done.
So it had to be through Atlantic City. I mean, the way that tree is,
Sounds like Mr. Mayor, Councilman Mayor, contacted the tree guy and said, no, he wouldn't have done that. But
well, I've noticed not just on that street, but that in particular, 1015 Washington Street, I mean, they're not branches that were taken off. Usually you see them now coming in, they do directional pruning when the trees are younger. So when they come now, you're taking off branches that are maybe, 4-inch caliper or whatever. These are like boughs. I mean, they are huge that were taken off. And they're just left to be like 4 feet and then truncated stumps on these trees. Not only those trees, but I've noticed on Jackson Street, there was a sycamore there. They not only did upward growing branches, for some reason, they did lateral growing branches in a lot of cases, and a lot of cases, lateral growing branches that were going toward the house or over the street, which that's not their jurisdiction to do.
we're coming out asking, like, hey, can you cut this one off? Because again, after looking at this and looking at the pictures, I drove around, I said, there's a couple of questions.
Yeah. There's the one right in front of the Mary Widow on Jackson Street, and I mean, I had that tree planted for the condo association probably about 15, 16 years ago. It was beautiful. I mean, they took so many branches and they were going laterally. They weren't going, some were going up into the wires, but not all of them that they took off. So what I'm wondering is, first of all, do we have any idea how often they're going to be coming around? Like, do we know, are they going to come every year, every 2 years, every 3?
Are we talking about Atlantic
Yeah, Atlantic
City
City
Electric? This is part of their resiliency program. It's really hard to say how often they're going to be doing this. I did speak to their government affairs rep. This is before Ronnie went out on her leave. She couldn't even tell me. Right? So it's part of the resiliency program. I would expect this to be done at least every, what's that, Frank?
3 to 2 years.
Every 2 years?
3 to 5 years.
Yeah,
Mike-
I think that's probably more like it, probably like 3 to 5 years.
So this-
But
This was the first time that they didn't hire Asplundh to come in and do it.
So Aspen and Lansing Electric are no longer together. All the people that work for Aspen is now with this new company. Ashby and,
Usually,
Ashby and Atlantic City Electric no longer work together anymore.
he no longer works for him.
All the personnel that works with Ashby and for Atlantic City Electric now work with this new company.
Lewis.
Well, every other year I'm called in at a gathering of these trucks before they start in some vacant lot someplace. And I give them, not a pep talk, but I just give them what we, not to get too overly aggressive cutting these branches off these trees. We know that they're hired to cut the branches off the electric lines coming in, to give them so they don't have to come back for 3 to 5 years, whatever they have to do. And I give them a pep talk on not cutting it back so far, we're going to get a lot of adverse calls. Well, this year, this new outfit came in, and they just went crazy. And I never got a call to give them a pep talk.
I would
So
have to say,
I asked for it.
yeah, I would have to say Atlantic City Electric, along with their rate hikes, I'm working on with them on a project out in Village Green. They really are non-responsive on a lot of these issues. The best advice I could give is if you're very frustrated with it, is to call Atlantic City Electric, log your complaint, call the BPU, log your complaint, and make sure that it's on record on what your frustrations are.
What is
That's what I had to do. Board of Public Utilities,
Okay.
that's who manages Atlantic City Electric. Everyone has to answer to somebody. So,
Okay.
I understand your frustration, I understand this commission's frustration.
Well,
Just know that if you do have an issue, you can certainly send it to Paul or myself, and we'll try to get it to Atlantic City Electric, but in years past, they've been way more responsive on all of their issues, and now I feel like they're just kicking the can
As the
on a lot.
assistant city manager, it would probably have more weight if you called and said, we're getting a lot of complaints about the over-aggressive trimming of some of these trees.
I will certainly pass on the comments to the government affairs team, but I think it's probably also strength in numbers as well. So if everyone on the commission wants to make that phone call as well, that would be important too. But I will certainly pass on the comments of this commission.
Yeah, I have no problem making that phone call. Like I said, I spoke to this person twice about the prunings, and they assured me, oh, no, these guys are trained, and it's the same people that worked for Asplin. But I said,
One of the things that I noticed that this new company is doing, which makes it look more aggressive, is they're not only clearing the electric wires, they're clearing the telephone wires, which they never did that before. They always cut below the electric wires and didn't care about the telephone wires. Now they seem to be covering all of it, which means they're cutting it back further than it had ever been cut back before.
well, another tree that I want to make mention of that's also cut very similarly is the one on Lafayette and Madison, on the Lafayette Street side of Byrne Agency. That's cut the same way. The branches that were going toward the house, they're just chopped off, not even in the lines. When I spoke to this person, it was an interesting conversation that I had in regard to trees, because usually we hear from Atlantic City Electric about the planting of large trees underneath wires and stuff. So I said to him, I said, I have a question, because there's a home next to mine that has 2 large sycamore trees that are really up in the wires and stuff. And I said, they've never been pruned from Atlantic City Electric for over 20 years. And he did his Google map thing, and he said, oh, they're secondary wires, so if the tree branches break, it's only like 6 houses that are going to lose power. I said, well, mine would be one of them, but okay. But anyway, I didn't realize that they don't do anything with secondary lines like that. And he said to me, I'm actually, the trees are better underneath secondary lines because they help keep the wires separated during storms, so we like when there's trees involved. It's news to me, but anyway, that was another observation that I didn't hear before. So, anyway, that's that
That
thing.
person leans and touches against the tree.
Jay, I have a couple things I wanted to bring up. Is now the time?
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the street tree removal request forms. We've had in Barbara's district, we've had a little bit of a kerfuffle on 722 Corgi Street.
Jay, excuse me, is it possible for me to speak right now and ask the commission to listen to Barbara? for her explanation of how this application progressed, okay?
Okay.
It was a very, very difficult application, and it upset and stressed me out so much, I can't tell you. So much so that I had to actually contact Connie and ask her if she could put this on the agenda so that all of you could hear the story that was going on with this application. Because I was very, very uncomfortable with it. Because this man, a very nice man, I met him, I was almost afraid to meet him because he did so much research. He just bought this house, and he did so much research on its history that the application was like this long, with all the pictures, and he went through all the history books and everything. I went, oh my goodness, what am I gonna face? So I was afraid to really meet this man because I thought he was gonna be really aggressive. Turns out he turned out to be a very, very nice man. And I worked the best I could with him, but it was so complicated because, first of all the trees he wanted to remove. There were 6 pine trees on the side of the house. There were 2 pine trees in the back of the house. There was a weeping cherry tree in the front of the house. And then he was also interested in doing a 50-50 with removing the street tree. There was no way that I was going to do all of this on my own. I needed somebody to be there and take a look and go forth with this. So therefore, I again contacted, oh, by the way, this all started in December of 2024. It was freezing cold. We could hardly even walk out the door for me to go over there and even look at this property. I got snowed in my house for a week, so I couldn't do all of this on my own. So I went back to Connie and I said to her, he kept coming to Connie, the owner of the house, to say, when's somebody gonna come over and take a look at this? When's somebody gonna come over and take a look at this? And as I just said, I couldn't get over there at that point in time because I didn't want to go over there on my own, by myself. So I asked Connie if she would contact Jay and George, if they could come over with me and take a look, because this man didn't want us to just go over there. He wanted to meet with us. So already I knew what I was going to be facing. He was going to meet with us because he did all this history. By the way, he is in the roofing siding business. And he wants to do all this stuff to this house so that he can do a house rental. So I'm facing all of this. So George wasn't available to meet me. It was okay, George. It was.
I was unaware of any of this
Probably
until,
because you've been in town.
I didn't even know about any of this until
That was
last week.
another thing. Everybody all of a sudden is telling me this today and a couple of days. They never knew about this.
I didn't know about it at all.
I kept contacting everybody, not everybody. I contacted with Connie and I contacted, that's what I did. I contacted with you with getting to, and I thought you had emails on that. And because I know, Jay, you did, because, I'm sorry, George, I didn't know that you weren't contacted.
I was not aware, yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. Anyway, Jay did come with me, and we went over to the house, the property, and we met with the man. Kevin is his name. Jay, you came over, and you got out of your truck, you walked on the sidewalk. You didn't go in the yard, you didn't go past any of the trees, you went on the sidewalk by the gate. You looked at these trees, and I was amazed, but all of a sudden you said, well, whatever the measurements and everything were, we'll say we can remove the trees.
that was
So
for the
that
couple
was
of trees in-
and believe me, this was my district, and I was just responsible for what my decision was to be on things. But you approved that we remove all of these pine trees, and including the weeping cherry in the front of the house. Now, personally, I thought the weeping cherry should be removed. You did, oh, I'm sorry, I take that back, forgive me. You approved all the pine trees.
Yes.
But you did not approve the weeping cherry in the front of the house.
Or-
Which the man explained the fact that it was not really in that good of a shape, and it also took away all of his view.
View of the back,
okay.
view of the back of the southern mansion. I mean,
Well, it was his view of his house from his porch when he was gonna have people sitting on the porch. You know, I have to say something today. We have to start discussing more of this about these tree removals. You know, people I love all the trees, and I think we appreciate, you know, the beauty and joy of them, but times have changed. There's a lot of trees in this town now that are 100 and some years old, and they're starting to look it. And I have to tell you, so I also want to tell you that I did email the mayor, because he sent that letter to the commission, and he was very positively responsive to my email, saying, first of all, that he thanked all of the commissioners for all the work they do. He said it was a very difficult task at times. But he was also complimentary for the fact that I explained, like I am today, everything that happened with this application. So getting back to where I was before. So it was my district. I only wanted Jay and George to come over about these trees, all these pine trees. I didn't care so much about the approval of the weeping cherry, because truth be told, it was not a significant tree. It was a skinny, tiny little tree that's smack in the middle of his lawn. How many of you have trees smack in the middle of your front porch?
Well, I do.
Not a lot. I mean, I have them on the side. Okay, well, that's where I was going. Everybody, when you're a property owner in Cape May, we're trying to make Cape May look beautiful, and people want to come here and stay with us. So we have to be responsive sometimes to some of our property owners where they buy a new house or buy a house, and when they want to do things that they want to do, not something somebody 100 years ago did. Now, that's just my own personal opinion, so I'm just sticking it in there. Anyway, so getting back to this tree removal. So then, as soon as Jay said that we could remove those pine trees, he left. You got back in your truck and you left. And I stayed there with Kevin, because Kevin really wanted to go through all this stuff with me. So we had to go out on the sidewalk and walk up to where the street tree was located. And he started pointing out to me the sidewalk, the roots, and all of this stuff going on. And I personally, we had to discuss this 50-50 sidewalk thing too, because we were talking about that earlier this afternoon. Because a lot of times, why do a 50-50 and spend money when the roots are going to grow back and the sidewalk's going to crack again? You know, that's a difficult decision to make sometimes. And Ron was very good about saying what he thinks is good to do, because at that point, when I'm talking to this owner, I say to him, I have to discuss this with other people in the commission about the street tree, because I don't know what to do because of the 50-50 thing and doing that and removing the tree. So I think I contacted Connie to get in touch with Ron. So to have him go over there and take a look at this tree for removal or sidewalk or whatever, which I did. And then I talked to Ron. Oh, no, yeah, you called me back after I contacted you, Ron. And,
No, that's not
well,
exactly
you said
accurate.
something about you needed.
I received a list of work to do, and one of them was to remove the tree. And I went over
Right.
to get the mark out for it, and I looked at it, and I went,
Okay,
"Geez,
you're
actually,
100% correct on that. I'm telling you, there was so much stuff going on with this application, I'm amazed I can even remember half of it myself right now. Okay, but you did then contact me and say that you didn't
I
think the
did.
tree should be removed, and that you had a way that you could work with the tree and the roots
I
and do
said
the
that the
sidewalk.
sidewalk could be
Correct.
curved in a foot and a
Right.
half.
And I agreed with you 100%. I said, that's a great idea, Ron, but I requested that if you could call the owner, because I had already dealt with this owner, and I knew where he had a positive attitude about where he wants to redo this house and so forth and so on, and I didn't think he was going to take that lightly about the tree being removed. So anyway, I asked Ron to please call the owner, and I had the owner's number, and I gave Ron the number to call. I just found out this afternoon when I came in here, Ron never called him, because he said that was not part of his job as a city employee. He's not on the commission or whatever. So that's the end of this story. This was the first time I heard this today. about the fact that he ended up removing that tree because at the beginning of it all was when I just put it on hold and said, we'll contact somebody. Because I'm trying to be as nice as I can, but this owner has a mind of his own. And I think he would have done anything anyway. That was the impression I got. I did my best to be as positive with him and calm, whatever, to go along with the things he had. Oh, by the way, he did say, when Jay was there, that he would
Replant the
Same
trees between the two
He wanted
properties.
magnolia trees on the side, and I went into the back part of the house with him, and he said he would put in some, I can't think of the names, what are those? The trees that are all coming out now, the pink trees.
Cherry,
I can't.
magnolia, I don't know,
No, not
cherries?
magnolia,
Well, he's putting magnolias.
crepe
on the-
myrtle.
What is it?
Bonsai cherry.
crepe,
Crepe myrtle.
Crepe
Yeah,
myrtle.
crepe myrtles. We would put 2 crepe myrtles. And so, while we were in the back there looking at that, he even got farther than that. That's all he had to remove were the 2 pine trees in the back. But instead, he even said he would do crepe myrtles in the back. And he then even wanted to do more shrubbery and asked my advice of what I would recommend for him to do, because I told him, I said, you don't have to do that. That's that's what you want to do. No, I want to do shrubbery. So he was a really positive guy. He's really much interested. He'd been coming to Cape May since he was a little boy. And he was thrilled, about having to get to do this house and everything. And he wanted as much advice from me and anybody else that could help him with the with Shade Tree. So basically that's the end of my story, except for the fact that, as I said before, I somehow or another, Mayor Mullet got involved with this. I don't even know where that came from. But he was kind enough to email me back and thank me for my giving him what I've just told you today, because he said he had gotten some other disinformation on things. And so many people didn't know so much that was going on, like Ron just said. He didn't know about the street tree removal exactly right from the beginning. So I'm just saying to you, I'm sorry that that tree got removed. If we would have been able, if I had been informed that I had to talk to this owner and tell him we weren't going to remove the tree, we were going to do what Ron wanted to do, that never probably would, although I don't know that not would have happened. Because as I said before, this man is very determined that he wants to make this property his own, and the way he envisions it, he's going to do all new siding, the roof, I mean, I got full detail.
and the first thing noticed different on the thing is a rental sign went up on the property.
Yeah, there is a rental sign on there.
So he's not gonna live in it, at least not for the foreseeable future. Well, that brings us.
Well, just a
with
minute.
that
Thank you all
explanation.
for listening to me, I appreciate it.
Well, as sentimental and everything as this all sounds,
I'm sorry?
there's so many, I said, as sentimental and everything as that whole story sounds, that's what a lot of people are wanting to do when they come to Cape May. I love the trees in the town. I don't want them blocking my house. I'm going to put all this money into my house, and I want people to see it and admire it.
Right.
That's too bad.
Right.
Then do not buy a house in Cape May. If you know that there's trees on the property, look for a place somewhere else. I'm not saying that we can't work with these residents and stuff like that, but to lose that amount of trees, and we now have a lot in the center of the historic district that is basically clear-cut, is just really, it stands out. And the thing that just comes across to me, I knew nothing about any of this. I don't know why this was never presented at a meeting and for discussion since December. But especially where a street tree is involved, we had that in place. We have a protocol in place when it's a street tree that should be looked at by every single commission member. And I just reiterated that fact at last month's meeting. And I don't understand how that was just completely sidestepped. I mean, we really have dropped the ball with this one big time. And
So let's make an agreement amongst ourselves. Anytime that there's a street tree, a tree between the sidewalk and the curbing, or in one of the public parks or whatnot that we have jurisdiction in, that has to be removed, we discuss it here amongst ourselves, and we get a majority vote.
Well, that's-
agreed on that?
That was supposed to be set protocol for the last several years.
That's been protocol for the last several years, but I'm going to reinforce, we got a lot of new members. Well, 2 new members. One's not here. But,
Well, what I asked Connie to do was to come up with a sheet. Instead of having one sheet for tree trimming and one sheet that includes trimming and removal, having 2 separate applications. If someone comes in and wants to remove a street tree, that's one process. If someone wants to have the tree in front of their property trimmed, that's a different process. The one commissioner can say, yes, those branches look a little low or whatever, and we can have the tree trimmed. But anytime it's a street tree, I would like to see a different form being used where we would have to have as many commissioners as possible and a majority sign off on it, whether approved or denied, and have it in concrete form, not just verbally agreed upon, because we have to have a paper trail, we have to have, we need to have records of what's being done with these street trees. So I'd like to make a motion that we now have to have it in writing, a written vote for approval or denial of removal of street trees.
I'll second it.
okay.
Can you repeat that again, George?
In writing?
That we would have to sign off,
Oh,
this, a
okay.
template like this, something like that, with the commissioner's name, approval, denied, and sign off on it. And I think the next step we're going to have to do is, whether this gentleman likes it or not, is get street trees planted at that property.
Yes, I agree. I think we should plan it, Ron, is there enough room in that, is there enough room in front of that property on Cordier Street to
Something like this.
put another tree in there?
Yes, but it had to be moved over more towards the center of the
Yeah.
property. That actually, the tree that I took down, probably three-quarters of it was on 724, and only a little bit of it was on 722. So you have quite a distance between that and the driveway. And if you get it on the other side of the water line,
Shouldn't it say street tree?
that tree.
Yeah, I want to keep it away from the sewer line.
But it should be straight street tree.
So we get it away from that also. But there is room.
On the property, or
But there would be room.
the same application?
You have to bust up some
shouldn't be,
concrete,
no.
though,
Not
right?
now.
Not now.
Right.
It's not really all that narrow. You might be able to squeeze a small tree in there to let it start growing. So
Yeah,
All right, let's make
One or
plans.
two.
Let's make plans to put
I'd like
another
to see
tree
2
in
of them
there.
put in.
Something like
As
this.
soon as we
Yeah,
can.
so you
All right.
know right away. Don't
And then
approve
that-
it.
that will be-
Connie, what is this?
application to-
What is this New York Avenue?
That will be a different application.
Yeah, 'cause I was on his property. Between the curb and sidewalk is the street.
Jay,
So it
if
shouldn't-
if you wouldn't mind, we kind of went over the city manager report. I do have another meeting I have to go to.
Okay.
So if you wouldn't mind, I just wanted to bring to your attention that I believe at the last meeting, City Manager Dietrich provided some draft specs on a RFP or a bid that we're going to put out for tree maintenance, trimming, et cetera. So I am passing out, Frank's passing out the revised specs. So we took your input. Paul was able to look at the proposal sheet. It's scheduled to be on the April 15th council meeting for approval of the specs, and then we'll subsequently go out to bid shortly after that. So I gave you the draft. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, you can email Paul, myself, or Connie, and she can get it over to us, but it's scheduled to be on the April 15th meeting. So the agenda typically goes out the Friday before, so if you have a question, comment, or concern, try to get that as soon as possible. If we don't hear anything, that's going to be the specs that are going to go out.
So this is, you're going to submit for bids, the stuff they have in already.
Correct.
When is the meeting? The city has to make approval. They have to submit, they have to make an approval to submit to, to solicit bids, right?
Correct.
And then,
So April 15th, at that council meeting, it's scheduled to be on for consideration to go out to bid. After that,
go out to bid when?
it all depends on when it's going to get into the paper. So I can't give you an exact date. So April 15th, it'll get on, it'll be approved. Subsequently, maybe a few days after that, it'll go out into the paper. Our purchasing agent will put it out, and then probably about 30 days later.
For the accumulated requests that he has so far, is he going to put this under one contract or split it into several?
It's one bid.
One bid. So whoever gets this is going to have all the stuff. And we would like, let the city manager know that we would like an opportunity to meet with the successful bidder,
Absolutely.
to talk to him about arcing sidewalks and doing a light hump up and over.
Yeah.
And doing a cutout.
So,
That's
so.
what we've been doing for 25 years.
So once the successful bidder is awarded, that person, if you see in the specs, is required to come to the commission meetings.
Okay.
All right? So you'll have your opportunity to meet with whoever that person is, talk to them, give them your questions, comments, concerns, and we'll make sure that there's an open dialogue between the manager's office, whoever the successful contractor is, along with the commission.
And this does not involve 50/50. City's going to pay for this whole thing, right?
So this is a city bid.
Okay. All right.
So this isn't concrete, this is just for the tree removals, pruning, stuff like that. This isn't sidewalks, this bid
Oh, this-
that I'm showing you. No, nothing to do with sidewalks.
Then what do we have to do with it then?
That's the, can someone help me?
For tree-
Frank?
It's a contract to call somebody to trim trees back that need to be trimmed or taken down that Public Works cannot handle. It has nothing to do with sidewalks, so if we have a tree limb that's, needs to be taken down for emergency operations and that Public Works cannot handle, we have somebody on call 24/7, 365 days a year. Hey, we need this tree down now.
Or for tree fells.
Or to trim back. Everybody's complaining about tree trimming in town needs to be done. Manier can't always do it, I can't always do it, so forth. So we're trying to hire a company out to bid that's going to handle all the tree trimming back as we are requesting.
Thank you, Frank.
Nothing to do with sidewalks.
Correct.
At all.
Correct. This
That's
has
a-
strictly to do with the trees.
Trees.
So that's where you guys come into play. As the Shade Tree Commission, we wanted to bring it to this commission first before we went out for any bid authorization. We wanted to make sure that you had the opportunity. Councilman Meyer also wanted the full commission to look at it. So we're asking for your questions, comments, concerns. We'll try to address them the best we can, but it is scheduled for the April 15th council meeting to approve those bid specifications for tree trimming, removal, et cetera, not sidewalks. So you don't have to give me a comment, question, concern now. I just wanted to get it to you. It's in draft form, but that's the game plan.
Well, let me ask you a question then, because if it's going to involve the street trees and it's a tree removal, is this only for emergency situations? Is that what this would be used for? Because like we just
This would be the
discussed,
contractor.
This would be.
For an emergency.
10 years ago, every year I would do a bid process.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, 10 years ago, they just stopped doing it for some reason. I have no understanding why that they stopped doing it. And this is just bringing that back into play.
Correct. This brings it into more of compliance of
Okay.
making sure that the city is doing their due diligence. And listen, Ron does an excellent job, phenomenal job. So this is really, like Ron just said, it's about making that process
Okay.
formal.
And it's not just emergency tree cutting, it's pruning the trees
Okay.
back. It's general
Okay.
maintenance on the trees.
Okay. Thank you.
So any idea when the contractor's going to go out to do the sidewalk work?
I don't have a report on that. That's a little whiles away. I know Paul is putting together a bid to do that. So no report on that.
Because under the 50/50 program, we could have been working all winter. the sidewalks that could have been done all winter. Most of them have been done by now.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
And all of a sudden, you're gonna give this contract work to some hopefully, multi-state contractor that's gonna come in and do all this work in 1 or 2 years or something like that, if that.
Paul's working on a bid to go out shortly as the engineer.
All right,
Thank you.
so whose district, let's get to this.
Well, that's what we just discussed, that 1040 New York.
Yes, what?
We just discussed that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that is,
That was my decision.
district.
Oh, that's the one with the mulberry tree.
Yes, sir.
Oh, well. Okay,
I don't see any tree removal applications or denials on this. Did we have any new ones for this month?
we basically
private?
said no on this tree.
Yes. Yes. It was,
All right.
Removals, when we say approved, denied,
Jay, I have a couple items.
I don't,
Jay,
We've got,
I have a couple items I wanted to bring up.
I want to talk about one other thing.
Okay, sure.
No,
okay,
we're,
okay,
she's going to check into having the sidewalk redone around the,
okay.
Monumental tree
oh,
list.
that, there's going to be a tree replanted.
Hello,
Yes,
a monumental tree list. We've got a lot of big trees in Cape May. Some are on city property, a lot of them are on private property. I want each of you to go in your district and look for trees that are 18 inches or more, 18 inches or more in diameter, that's side to side, measured 4.5 feet above the ground, that's mean chest height. 4.5 feet above the ground, side to side is the diameter, okay? 18 inches or more, take a tape measure with you, or a stick or something, and submit a list of trees that in your district that are maybe a consideration for monumental trees.
Street trees or?
no, they can
No,
even
they-
be private
not
property.
Private, there's gonna be a lot on private property. And
How-
what
how
we
can
wanna
you go
do
on private
is notify, what we wanna do is notify owners then, by property, of that they have a significant, it's not a monumental tree, but a significant tree on their property.
But how can you go into homeowners' backyards to measure their trees?
Well, what we may need to do then, in that case, I see your point, we may need to see, observe one from a distance.
Right.
And then have something, Connie write a letter and to send it to the homeowner and say,
Poor Connie.
can we grant
Yeah,
access?
do your best to identify
Okay.
do your best to identify the type of tree it is.
That was 18 inches in diameter?
Leaves come out?
We don't have
18
to.
inches in diameter?
So,
18 inches in diameter?
I would say start at 18 inches. It can be bigger than that. You'll know when you see the trees. A
Or
couple,
more.
there's trees in each of your districts that are absolutely huge.
Right.
and should
Many
be
years ago-
considered a significant or monumental tree.
many years ago, we had a list of them. We had a binder with all the, and they were called landmark trees at the time. Now, a number of those trees are gone because we have no beech trees left in the city. The two large ones that were on Washington Street, one fell in a storm, the other one was a product of construction. It was removed because of that. But we still do have a lot of monumental trees that we're now calling them monumental, I guess. In fact, it came to my attention because I had to take a look at a site on Cape Heart Street, and there's a huge elm tree in that backyard. And I'm not sure exactly what the whole construction, I think that's still in the works, whatever is being done, but I was just given that address to go and look at the trees that are on that property. There's 4 large elm trees, and the one is just really a huge, huge tree. And from that property, you can see there's also a significant-sized ginkgo tree, extremely large on Perry Street, in the backyard of another property. So that's what we're referring to, those type of trees. It doesn't necessarily also have to be that big, Jay, if I just want to put this out there. On Mount Vernon Street, there's a snow fountain cherry, and it's the largest one of its kind
This is the
in
one
Cape May,
between First and Second Street.
on
Between
Mount
First and
Vernon,
Second.
and then you almost
On
have to
the
walk
north side.
underneath it. Yeah.
What kind of tree is it?
That's a snow fountain cherry, it's a weeping cherry.
I was going to
But
call it a
that's-
Japanese
Well, it is.
scholar tree.
No, Japanese scholar trees are completely different. They get to be a huge street tree. This is
That's, what is it?
a snow fountain cherry. It's a Japanese cherry, a weeping cherry, but it's really, it's unique. So the uniqueness of it
It's
is,
not a native tree to here. but
No.
It's certainly significant.
Yeah.
Well, that's in your district.
yeah.
So George, we're identifying these to what?
We're going to, well, that's what we have to come up with. We have to figure out, once we identify them, how can we give them an extra layer of protection if possible?
Or just notify the owners that they've got a significant tree on their property.
Don't
On their
touch it.
property.
But we, it's one thing to grant permission to take down a 30-year-old tree, and a different thing to take down a 150-year-old tree. So that's something that we'll have to, maybe when Shane's at the next meeting, he might be able to see how to present that to, I don't know, if we can make that more of a thing.
All right, that's all I have.
I have two things.
Carol without the E, it's got a.
Without the E.
And I go like that
And
again.
can raise my arm.
Yes, you raise her arm real high now.
Okay, so maybe we can piggyback this onto looking at monumental trees. I've noticed, several years ago, we did an inventory of all our districts of street trees that had ivy on them. And I have noticed a bunch of street trees that seem to have ivy back. So maybe when we're looking at monumental trees in our district, we could also catalog trees that have ivy on them, so we could hand it over to Public Works and they could get the
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
ivy
that's
off.
something that you guys can do, Frank, right?
You can send a request in, but I cannot guarantee Public Works will have the time or manpower to do that at this time.
You what?
You can send a request in, we will look at it, but I cannot guarantee we have the time or the manpower to do that.
Okay.
So
It's not something I want the commissioners to have to do, to take you can if you want. I've done it, I've got a pair of shears in my truck. I can't get around that much anymore with my knees being the shapes that they're in. But take it and do it at ground level and then up 2 or 3 feet, cut it there and just pull off the section of ivy. The ivy up top of the tree will die back. It'll look like hell for 1 or 2 years, but it'll.
I recommend right now, if you see ivy on a tree that you want it removed, send a request in. Do not remove it, because there's a blue collar contract that will be involved with that.
Okay, you hear that? We'll send that in a request.
Connie, gotcha. Okay,
She'll get it. Okay, thank you, Frank.
thanks, Frank. Okay, so I have another item. I have a request from the homeowners at 1201 Ohio Avenue. It's the corner of Ohio and Reading.
Okay.
And it's a twin, and the twin that's on the corner has been rebuilt, and
And we took a tree out.
we
on-
took a tree
on
out
Reading.
on the driveway.
Yes.
Now they're asking for the street tree on the right side of the driveway to be
And we
removed.
did a trimming of that, too. Ron trimmed that tree.
Well, they're still not happy with the tree. And they said, they're happy to pay us $300 to plant another tree, and they would be happy to pay for the removal of the tree. And
And this is a street tree?
this is a street tree. It's not the most attractive-looking street tree,
1201,
1201
Ohio.
Ohio.
And it's on
And
the-
so I had Ron take a look at it, and as Ron said, it's not the most attractive-looking tree, but it's healthy enough, it looks like it's going to leaf.
Not only did we prune it back from over the property, but also the electric company came in and did their
Oh.
due diligence to it. It isn't the healthiest tree, but I think it's a silver maple.
Oh, okay.
They're very diligent as far as growing back.
Yeah. They're resilient.
So my opinion was to give it a couple years, keep an eye on it, and see how well it grows back.
Give it a chance.
Yeah, give it a chance. So I was going to ask, Ron and I have looked at it, but I thought because it is a street tree, we should have everyone take a
Yeah.
look at it and then come
Thank you.
back next,
Yeah,
you know.
I think that's, yeah, we should.
And
then
it's
we'll-
hard to get there because
It's still
the,
under construction.
Ohio is under
Yeah.
construction, but
Yeah.
you can go down Virginia and turn the other
Yeah,
way,
and just hop out.
yeah,
Hopefully on a warmer day, but yeah, we can do it soon.
all right. Thank you.
Now, since we brought up before about difference of opinion on trees, even on private property, that people are looking for removal. If a removal, what is our final thoughts? Are we going to all take a look at those, or have a majority of people look at
No.
those too?
For tree removal on private property, should be evaluated by the tree commissioner for that district.
Well, my only
But
concern
if there's a
is,
difference of opinion,
That's
I
it.
think that's what we want to,
I liked reaching out to, and get somebody else's
I
opinion
thought-
personally.
Yes.
We'd
I
be
do.
here,
Yeah.
I mean, we're not here all day, but we'd be here for more hours if we had to look at
yeah.
True.
every request for a tree removal that comes in.
Well-
We gotta have,
Well,
But when I put the
I
Well,
understand that, but
it's not
then,
every request. I think it's on private property, if there's a difference of opinion,
yes, it could be.
well,
right?
we just told the guy on,
Well, that'd be,
Yeah.
let's put
Washington.
it this way, that'd be up to the commissioner. If the commissioner wants to bring in, on a tree on private property, that's up to him or her to bring it in before the commissioner. But normally, it should be up to the commissioners to make those kind of decisions.
well,
The street tree, we've been burned once. Let's just make sure that we do street trees removal. We all have to agree on it.
Right.
But on private property, it should be up to the commission.
well, it would help with another clear-cutting situation if we at least had two opinions. That's my opinion.
The what?
You know, it would help with a severe removal, like we just had all that removed on Corgi. I mean, if we had another extra person or two to look at it, I think
I agree.
that we're going to have,
no, we did tell the person on.
Yeah, that-
That we're going to look at that.
yeah.
We're going to look.
And that's,
Because we had differences of
well, I'm going to just
That
give you
was
the,
also, they came back in for a second opinion.
yeah, that was an appeal.
Appeal, thank you.
And I think we're going to have an
That's
appeal.
right, if there's an appeal.
I think we're going to have an appeal on, I don't know if we are, but I went to look at two trees at 20 Patterson Street. One is a crepe myrtle, the other one is a maple, a red maple, and there was a large bough removed from the maple, and they're saying it's rotted. Well, where the bough was removed, it's dead, but it is starting to encapsulate. The bark is starting to
Collar.
encapsulate and
The
make
collar,
a
yeah.
collar.
Did they
So-
take the collar off? Or
No.
just move it up to the collar? On a bough like that, you should remove it just up to that round collar where
Well,
the
it's
branch
starting to
comes out
seal
of it.
over, but it's going to take a while. But in any case, I denied the removal. So that's one thing that I just wanted to bring that up, if anybody does want to look and give their opinion on that. It's 20 Patterson. And the other thing that I brought up, and this is not my district, I think it's your district, Barbara, but I did go to look at it because it's a large tree. It's 205 Howard Street. Now,
I did get your email, and I'm thankful that you did send that to me, because I was going to go over and take a look at it.
Yeah, it's a
But again,
big tree.
I thought that it was like an old tree in
It's-
good shape, and.
It's
it
not a
needed
street
to
tree.
hang over the fence or something as far as.
it's very close to the property line, which,
Yeah, so I denied it, yeah, I've sent.
Oh, you
that-
denied-
Yeah, I've sent that to Connie, not to remove it.
okay, but that tree, it does seem to have some issues. And at first I thought it was an elm, but now I'm thinking it may be a different species of cottonwood, of poplar. Yeah. Do you know which tree I'm talking about in the backyard? So,
Several times
yeah.
over the years.
And, I mean, I'd hate to lose a tree that large, but a lot of the bark is starting to come off. And I don't know if that's,
It's getting pretty close to the end of its life.
yeah,
Poplars aren't a very long-lived tree,
no.
but that tree's probably well over 60 years.
Oh, I would think the same thing. I mean, I'd hate to see it come down yet, but like I said, that's not even my district, but I think that's a tree that we should either,
No, I appreciate your taking a look at that and
yeah.
sending that.
I mean, if they do appeal it, I mean, I don't know. Well, Ron, you've worked on it before. Do you have an opinion on the health of that tree or not? You're just saying it's close to the end?
Like I said, it's getting towards the end of its life. They have had some damage to their property from the tree. In the past, we've had a lot of poplar trees aren't a very strong.
No, they're soft, yeah.
It's just fortunately, it's allowed to grow up as big as it is because it's between two buildings.
Yeah.
But they actually just had damage last winter to their back porch
Okay.
from a limb coming off of it. So it's getting leggy and laggy.
I mean, I guess we could wait and see how it leafs out, but if it is, you know, that may be something we'll have to discuss at the next meeting, I don't know.
By then, you should have your answer on what's leaked out.
Yeah, okay. All right, but that's 205 Howard, if anybody wants to see it. Yes.
Howard?
Yeah. And I don't think I have anything else.
It's in the backyard.
I had enough.
You can't miss
Okay, spotted Leonard fly. This is the thing that's going to go out at the,
Saw that.
We saw it last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had them last month, Jay.
yeah, what?
We saw that.
The tree of heaven. Yeah, this stuff is going to go out with the water
Yep.
and sewer bills. All right, does anybody have anything more for the good of the order?
No.
After a long and heated and detailed
Marathon.
discussion, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
A second.
Carol, yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you, everybody.